Is personal data really digital gold? Depends on who you ask, I guess. Some liken data to gold, and others sharply object to such blanket claims. So let's think about it. Cybersecurity and data privacy organizations appreciate the legislated need to protect data like gold. On the other hand, applied statisticians and data scientists know that data is messy and must be expertly cleaned and analyzed before being likened to something precious. And from a different perspective, social media giants show us that personal data's value appreciates exponentially with the size of the user base. But what do the numbers say? Do we have any data to back up the claim that data is digital gold? Well, let's consider Meta, a company effectively leveraging personal data for financial gain. In 2022, Meta made a gross profit of $91 billion dollars. This is actually $250 million daily. But Meta is not the only example. Many companies rely on the use of personal data to effectively and successfully run their operations. So, how does this all work? Well, let's touch on some different use cases and then we can dive deeper. Let's consider 5 stages of personal data commodification. Stage 1 involves collecting your data. Your data is often obtained from your social media activity, but can also come from your online footprint more broadly, such as your IP address, which contains your geolocation. Stage 2 is targeted advertising using your personal data, which is typical of companies like Meta and Google. They determine our interests and needs, and you start seeing ads. Stage 3 takes the targeted advertising methodology to another level. By performing sophisticated analytics on your data, companies devise strategies to more effectively sell you stuff. Stage 4 then represents a further level of data analytics maturity, where companies use your personal data to remain competitive. In today's hyper competitive markets, it is often not good enough to devise a handful of strategies to effectively sell you a product. Companies must continuously learn and innovate from their data to retain and gain market share. Since there are many other videos and articles showing how Meta and Google leverage our data, let's look closely at just how much Meta and Google rely on our personal data to stay afloat. Did you know that more than 99% of Meta's revenue in 2022 came from advertising? That makes me wonder if we should be calling Meta an advertising giant rather than a social media giant. And it's a similar story for Google as well. In the last quarter of 2022, more than 77% of Google's total revenue came from Google's search engine, YouTube, and Google's other websites and apps where it delivers targeted ads. Now let's consider Amazon, but from a different perspective. We found an interesting article touching on how Amazon used data in its early days to learn how to be an effective online seller. The article says that data is the new gold of the digital era, but let's see what it says about Amazon. When Jeff Bezos started Amazon, his intention was to gather data on shoppers through selling books close to cost to increase sales. Collecting millions of customers' data helped the company learn how to sell everything else online. Hence, a customer acquisition strategy was achieved through data collection. I want to show you 2 other articles about Amazon. This article presents a stunning account of the depth and breadth of Amazon's data collection efforts. It tells us that the company gathers data, customer information as they navigate the site, use Amazon services and Amazon devices, browse other Amazon owned sites, and interact with Alexa. Across these platforms, Amazon literally knows, among other things, your IP address, location, time zone, search queries, clicks, browsing time, product reviews, shipping address, views and musical preferences, voice commands, grocery list, and even your reading preferences, to the extent that Amazon knows which parts of the books you read are of most interest to you. Now, if you are surprised that Amazon knows which parts of the books you read were most interesting to you, then you must check out this next article. This is an interesting article, and the incredible author speaks about their experience obtaining their data from Amazon. They requested their data and they've got an Excel spreadsheet with more than 20,000 lines of data. The data included information like Kindle usage, noting when and what time and what books was read at these certain times. But it gets a lot more interesting. It says that Amazon knows more than just what books I've read and when. It knows which parts of them I like most. And it did that by knowing which parts of a book that was highlighted on a certain day at a specific time, and even other habits like how much, like parts of the book that was copied and pasted elsewhere. By using our personal data to profile us in shocking and amazing ways, Amazon gives us a better user experience, prompting us to continue supporting Amazon. But individuals are not Amazon's only customers. Amazon also offers services to businesses and organizations that rely on data, such as data storage, analysis, and management. By leveraging its vast data resources, Amazon can provide valuable insight to these clients, which they can use to make informed business decisions. This generates revenue for Amazon through service fees and subscriptions. You may have noticed that we did not speak about the sale of personal data. As far as we know, companies like Amazon, Google, and Meta do not sell our personal data. That is notwithstanding some massive blunders like the Cambridge Analytica scandal, to put it lightly. But more broadly, selling personal data is another way companies profit from our personal information. Data brokers specialize in buying, processing, and selling our personal data. These companies often collect data from numerous sources, including online forms, mobile apps, and social media platforms, and then package and sell the data to other companies for use in targeted advertising, credit scoring, and other applications. The sale of personal data can be lucrative, with data brokers often charging significant fees for access to large data sets. It turns out that data brokers actively harvest public information, even when we don't realize that our personal data is up for grabs in the public domain. This video exposes how data brokers collect personal information from social media, property records, land registries, birth records, court records, voter registration records, bankruptcy records, and even other companies willing to sell your personal data. When it comes to data brokers, there's an interesting juxtaposition to be drawn between them and tech firms like Amazon, Google, and Meta. While we are investigating how companies make money by using personal information, it is interesting to look at how much companies are willing to spend on protecting their use of personal information so that they can continue operating as usual. In this excellent bit of investigative journalism by The Markup, they found that the top 25 data brokers spent more cumulatively on US federal lobbying than Meta, Google, and Amazon spent individually that year. This is truly an interesting article, and here in this graph we see how much data brokers were spending individually on federal lobbying in the US in 2020. As a caveat, not all of these are necessarily data brokers, but this is a useful picture to have. This comparison is an interesting indication of how lucrative the lesser known data broking industry is. Incumbents are finding it hard to maintain their role. So what does this all mean? One of the main implications is the potential for privacy violations. Personal data is sometimes collected without one's knowledge or consent, and the information can be used for purposes that a person may not have intended. For example, Personal data may be used to targeted advertisements for products one may not be interested in, or to make decisions about credit worthiness that may not accurately reflect the individual's financial situation. This can result in people being subjected to unwanted marketing or being unfairly denied access to credit. But to be fair, the use of personal data has directly and indirectly unlocked value for individuals and businesses in truly incredible ways. However, there is a narrow path that must be trodden carefully.